Hello YouTube, this is Hyboman here. I'm back from a different angle. I'm in front of the camera today to demonstrate a roleplay toy the way it is supposed to be done. I'm not going to waste any time because there's a lot to talk about here, but needless to say, I am guilty. I have not only gone down the rabbit hole, I have gone down on both sides. This is the Kamen Rider Double Deluxe Super Best Double Driver Henshin Belt. Again, not really going to talk much about the box, except for, again, a little bit of interesting detail here. If you can see on the box, they show you the three silver tip memories from Philip's half, Cyclone, Heat, and Luna, and then the three gold tip memories from Shotaro's half, Joker, Metal, and Trigger. What's interesting is that they lay them out like this in a nice grid, so as you can see, there are 9 possible forms that he can take on and 9 possible different henshins that you can do with this belt. For the sake of time and for talking about more important details, I'm going to do his 3 main ones, that being Cyclone, Joker, Heat, Metal, and Luna Trigger. But, you can stick the memories in there in whatever order you want and do it however you want. So with that out of the way, again, quick recap of all the stuff you get in the box. Besides the belt and the memories, you do get your instruction sheet with how to use it, a little bit of caution about don't pinch your fingers, more stuff on the other side, but unfortunately, no little kid hurting himself and thinking it's hilarious. So, you win this round, Sad Pac-Man, you win this round. But, that's enough of that, let us get on to the belt. Now, before we start talking about main details, I am going to brag a bit here. I actually do have the belt without any extension right now fitted on me. Hopefully you're getting an okay view of this. The trick is this is not actually around my waist, it's up under my rib cage, I guess. But I figured I'd give it a shot, see if I could actually wear it with this clasp here covering where it actually snaps together. But as you can probably see, there's a little bit of string sticking out from where I did have to extend it a little bit so that it fits comfortably around my waist where the belt is supposed to be. So, as you can see, this is the double driver, exactly like it appears in the show Kamen Rider Double. Like you saw before, it attaches on this side with a push-button clasp, and that's the only side that attaches. This piece, you have to plug it in there when you get it out of the box for the sake of packaging's sake, but otherwise this would just, be solidly in here. You can remove it if you try really hard, but I don't want to risk breaking this. Other than that, you saw the little clasp on the back, which is just free to hang around the side for some extra detail. You also have the maximum drive device, which is all black, but has some nice molding on it, and a little button for activating memories with a W on it. And a little window, just like these, so you can see the parts of the Gaia memories. The main detail here, or I guess the main thing that makes this belt unique, as opposed to, I think, any other rider belt that I've ever seen, is no electronics in this whatsoever. No batteries or anything you have to put in here. So I haven't seen any for sale where it's just the belt, but be aware if you're new to this kind of thing with rider belts in general, know that the double driver, if you're going to get it, does nothing without Gaia memories. Other than that, we have the silver half, noted by this little silver tab, the gold half, noted by this gold tab, and the rest of it done up in really nice metallic red and metallic silver. I can't say it's a 1-to-1 scale with the prop they used on the show, but considering that, it's hard to tell with camera angles and all that, and considering that, again, it fits nicely and it looks exactly like the one in the show, there's really nothing to complain about accuracy-wise. Again, the main feature of this is that it opens, and it's going to activate memories this way, forming the W that's the symbol of our main hero. So that stuff aside, let's get to the interesting part. Again, I'm going to do details in a minute, but first I just want to run through the 3 main forms, the 3 henshins, so we can do that sort of dramatically. I'm going to do one with the lights on so you can see everything the belt does, and then one in the dark so you can get a sense for just how nice all the lights and all of their sequences are. So we're going to start out with the main form, Cyclone Joker. I'm going to shut up now and try to make this as accurate as possible. Henji. You can see noises exactly like you'd get from the show, as is expected of any of these types of devices. And as you also see a nice glow with the green and the purple LEDs showing through this little light chamber in the bottom until they fade out. We get a deactivation noise and a power down noise when you remove the memories. That is Cyclone Joker, which we will now show you in the dark. It's really hard to get those in one solid push when it's in the dark because you can't see what you're doing, but Henji! And you can see that is nice and bright. For some reason we always talk, or at least I always talk about how purple and green are colors that should not mix together. But they always seem to complement each other very nicely whenever anybody uses them for the Joker from Batman, which is funny actually. I never really realized the whole green and purple thing with Batman until right now. Promise, I'm not just saying that for the sake of a joke. Okay, so we will move on to the second transformation, Heat Metal. Henji! Again, red for heat. Metal comes out white. You can't really do a silver light, but it's a good approximation, especially with all the metal or silver detailing around here. It comes off as silver. And again, in the dark. Henji. That's another reason I like doing these in the dark. If you can see the really light colored plastic, like on Metal and like on Cyclone, very, very nicely will carry through the LED light all the way up here, especially when it's actually in the driver and there's a lot of stuff sort of blocking the light, shunting it upwards. That's a really nice effect if the memory itself is glowing. Unfortunately for the darker ones like Heat or for Joker, the plastic is just a little bit too opaque to carry the light through all the way up. One last combination here, Luna, Trigger. Both at the same time, so we get an overlapping noise. Henji. And once more, in the dark. Very nice glow. Both of these actually carrying it up nicely. Hopefully that shows up on camera. Okay, so enough of that for now. Those are the three main transformations. We're going to go back to Cyclone Joker to talk about the last electronic aspects of each of these, which is maximum drive. When you are ready to finish off your enemies, all you need to do, take the power out of transformation and access the full power of maximum drive. Now I'm not sure how much of that light from this, because it does still flash the LED when it's in here. I'm not sure how much of that showed through this window. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because there, aside from this clear window, there is nothing else on this little box to carry through the light. Which again, it's not really supposed to, it's there to help activate the memory essentially. But that's why I mentioned before that things like Cyclone can really light pipe up through the clear plastic well. So I'm going to do this one in the dark so we can see that effect for Cyclone's maximum drive. So the light really isn't supposed to be a part of this, but with nice clear plastic, you can make that happen. Okay, not going to transform back into all of them, again for the sake of time, but we're going to try out Heat's maximum drive. As you can see, all of the silver-tipped memories from this belt, the ones that are on Philip's side of the driver, all have this same standby noise. I really like that this button is nice and sensitive, and that these buttons are very sensitive, meaning you can, just like they do in the show, just kind of slap it and that will activate the maximum drive attack. Admittedly, that one was a little bit weird, since that maximum drive in metal is specifically programmed for the trigger magnum, the metal shaft, the roleplay weapon that originally came with before this more complete version of the belt came out. I'm going to talk about that whole business of which version of the belt and memories, all that, after I finish demoing this stuff. So we have trigger. Again, this one's going to be weird like metal because this was made for the trigger magnum. And the Trigger Magnum has its own electronics. It's one of the few double toys, aside from fancy electronic memories like Fang or Extreme, that have excess lights and sounds to them beyond what the memories themselves do. So this one is meant to work with that, meaning despite a very obnoxious but very nice loud-pitched power-up noise, you just get a click. That's because, again, it works with the sound effects in the Trigger Magnum. This makes the click, just like in my review of the gokai saber. I talked about how the click helps sort of mask the mechanical sounds of the plastic clinking around. That's what that's supposed to do, while the rest of the gun continues the power-up noise and does the actual shot. And finally, Luna, again one of Philip's. And okay. That does it for all the lights and sounds. If that's all you were coming to this video to see, thank you for watching. For those of you who want a little bit more discussion about the details of the memories themselves, stick around because that's what we're going to be doing next. And then I'm going to sort of give my final thoughts on the belt, this whole toy line, a little bit about the show as it pertains to the toys, things like that. So that's what we're going to get onto now. We'll go back to our original combination, Cyclone Joker, so you can get a nice view of what this is. So Cyclone printed there. All the letters on every Gaia memory have sort of an aspect of whatever the memory is storing to them. So since Cyclone is the power of wind, you've got a little bit of a tornado cyclone design to the sea. And you can see maybe in the back the sticker has Cyclone printed in sort of metallic foil, sort of floating in the background, which is reminiscent of the, I don't really know what to call it, the data streams that always show up around Philip. When he gets beamed up by the extreme memory, or when he's in the planet bookshelves, as he calls them. This memory, the Joker memory, is one of the only memories that I don't entirely understand. It says Joker, you've got a J. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. Vaguely flame-ish, has a little bit of like lightning on there. This is one of the only memories I can think of, DX, Sound Capsule, or Dopant memories, where it's not really clear what this is. Because each Gaia memory is designed to sort of capture the power of something. For the Kamen Rider ones, it's normally something, again, like heat or cyclone. This is the power of fire. You can see here an H on fire, heat, printed there. And like metal, this is the power of metal. It's an M with some rivets on there, so you can tell it's made out of steel. Even for the Dopant memories, you have things like violence or terror or T-Rex, things that have shown up in the world, whether they're vague concepts like violence or terror, or actual things like Anomalocaris or the T-Rex. Joker, on the other hand, I don't really know. I think it sort of plays to Shotaro's character, being that he, I guess, makes up his own rules, decides that he's a man and all that good stuff. But it definitely stands out among memories. Speaking of which, we have Luna. The reason why I said speaking of which is that this one has the L, but since it's masked over by the moon, you sort of forget that this one has the letter motif going on. But it does. L right there. And I guess the moon is vaguely L-shaped, but most people see the moon as a C, a la Cookie Monster from Sesame Street. And finally we have Trigger, which is in the shape of a T. Gun in the shape of a T. And what's interesting about this, I'm going to grab all the gold tip memories for one final viewing. If you notice, when you hold these with the name facing so you can read it, they're all pointing this way. The tips are all this way, the letter is upside down. It seems like they're designed this way to match with the silver tip memories that go on the other side of the driver. So if you look here, Cyclone, so you can read it, pointed that way. Heat, so you can read it, pointed that way. Letter upside down. Again, Luna, name on top, symbol upside down, tip pointed that way. And that's mainly for the way the driver works. You load these in, as I'm sure you've seen, and when you open it, it tilts these letters so that they appear straight coming out of the little windows. And what's also interesting is that they end up with the names and stickers parallel to each other. So, I think that's why they're designed that way. I think it's interesting that, you know, they had to put the name down here for all of them. So again, the design is basically uniform while still fitting into the this one goes here, this one goes there design of the belt. That's it for detailing on the memories. I'm going to move into the next section, just talking in general about my thoughts on this belt, this show, things like that. So I'll bring back the belt, since we can be talking about that again. And I'm going to bring up the whole, half and half design of this. It is geared together, so even if you only open one side, they still go together. And even though you're supposed to do silver and silver and gold, everybody says it's programmed for one side of the driver or the other, that just means the memory is designed to go off at a specific time. So if we do, actually, we've done Cyclone Joker a ton. I will do a different combination. I will do Heat and Trigger for the sake of showing this off. You can put the silver tip in the gold slot and the gold in the silver slot. The only difference is that the lights are going to be on different sides, and like I said, the letters are going to not be tilted the right way. So you can see we're still going to heat trigger form, but these letters are upside down, the lights are on the different sides. So when we talk about memories being programmed for one side of the driver, it's which one goes off first. Silver is supposed to go off first, then gold is supposed to go off, but it's a matter of timing between the two. With that being said, again, we're going to get into a little bit of philosophy, because that's sort of the design of these. What I really like about the whole half and half thing with double, with the belt, all of that, is that it's very balanced out, sort of whose powers are used for what. So a lot of people sort of see Philip as the brains, Shotaro as the brawn, being as how Philip has the access to the planet bookshelves or the Earth's memory, depending on how it's translated and at what point in the show we're talking about. He has access to a whole bunch of information, and he's highly intelligent. Shotaro's the one acting from his gut, the first one to start punching somebody in the face if he thinks they deserve it, and he's the one who generally forms the body of Double, except for Fang Joker or Extreme, because those circumstances and those memories are different. What's interesting about that, though, or what I think is more interesting than those two divisions, are that the actual powers, so like the power of Cyclone or the power of Joker, which again, not entirely sure what that is, they're balanced out when they've actually transformed into Kamen Rider Double. In any form, Philip, the silver side, always gets the power that's useful. So Cyclone, it's the power of wind, they can summon up hurricanes, you can punch somebody or send a gust of wind their way, whatever it is. When they use the Joker maximum drive, there's still sort of that wind, tornado, cyclone action going on. That power is being used to attack the enemy, and then this is just sort of providing the energy for the rider kick. Likewise, in heat metal form, the metal, like I said, is made to go with the metal shaft. Whoops. And the heat memory is the one that provides, again, the power for the body. They're always giving somebody a flaming punch. Likewise, if the metal memory is used for maximum drive, the attack they do is metal branding. The metal memory powers up the shaft, but it's the heat memory that sets it on fire that they actually use for defeating the enemy. The same is true really for any mix. I'll just go one more time. The Trigger Magnum, again, powered by this memory, it's the one that actually shoots the ball of energy, but depending on which of Philip's memories it goes with, it modifies the power. So again, Cyclone is the power of wind, things like that. Heat is the power of fire, and Luna is illusions/stretchiness. Generally, he just uses it to stretch out his arms and grapple people, things like that, or for the sake of Luna Trigger Maximum Drive, it's actually for homing shots. So you can bend those, I guess is the best way to put it. Any combination of these, like Luna and Joker, you get their Joker Strange attack, which, again, powered by the Joker memory, but it's, again, him stretching out his arms and whipping somebody around. You do Heat and Joker, you've got the Joker Grenade, where, again, they split up for the rider kick, but it's a fiery rider kick. I don't know, that's something I like to think about, because Philip is sort of providing the actual attack there. It's just Shotaro's memories are powering it, whether it's in a weapon or in the maximum drive slot itself, which I think balances them out a little bit better than just Philip is the brain and Shotaro is the brawn. Because their relationship is more interesting than that. Philip has his more impulsive moments, and if you watch the show all the way through, there are lots of times when Shotaro stops narrating that you can see him contemplating a lot more than he would let on, being a man of action the way he is. So final thoughts on this. I really like this belt. This is the first Kamen Rider show I watched, therefore the first Kamen Rider belt I wanted. I will say your choice of the Super Best Edition, which is the one I have here, will come down to whether or not you want to buy the weapon toys. Like I said, I've never seen anyone selling this belt or any real Kamen Rider device, this or anything else, without the included add-ons like Gaia Memories or Wizard Rings or Astro Switches for 4s. Whatever the series may be, the things always come packaged together. Mainly because you can't use one without the other. There's no point in having an O metal with nothing to scan it, and a scanner with no O metal to scan is useless. So generally speaking, if you're looking for this belt, it's going to come with all the memories. Which means if you get this version, which the advantage over the original release, and I'll make that clear now, the original only came with Cyclone, Heat, Luna, and Joker. So you got the 3 of Philip's memories and the main Shotaro memory. That's because, as I've said multiple times throughout this video, that Trigger and Metal were used for the Metal Shaft and the Trigger Magnum, separately bought weapon toys. So if you wanted each of these, I would say don't go after this belt, because you're going to get them anyway and get the 2 weapon toys. There's a couple reasons why I went after this one. One being, I don't really like the 2 weapon toys, the Trigger Magnum and the Metal Shaft. My problem with the Trigger Magnum, again, comes down to its maximum drive. It has to use the electronics in the gun to be complete. The gun has its own gunfire sounds for sort of a normal, non-final attack mode, but without this, the gun can basically do things by itself. It's still a separate toy. But this memory is dependent on the gun for its final attack. Meaning, one, this thing on its own doesn't really do that much. But more importantly, I think, the trigger magnet is really only made to go with the trigger memory. You can use other memories in it, but there's two problems. One, the power-up noise is going to be different. This one is the high-pitched. That. While any other memory has its own power-up noise, which is not programmed into the gun. Secondly, remember I said before that the gun hits the button on the trigger memory to activate the click as you're folding it and locking it into place. Whereas any other memory going to maximum drive, when you hit the button, the attack goes off. So now you have a gun that's shooting off its attack before you actually pull the trigger, which again, it's a mismatch. I think the weapon toys in this line, even the metal shaft, which I'll explain why I don't like that in a minute, they're all designed to take, or they're supposed to be designed to take different memories to give different effects to each thing, sort of expand what you can do with these. Now the metal shaft uses the memories better. It's just a maximum drive slot like this, but embedded in a large staff. And truth be told, that's the better of the two, I think. You can stick any memory in there, use its maximum drive to get a different effect out of the weapon. The thing I don't like about it is that that's really all it is. It's just sort of a maximum drive slot for the weapons, and I don't really, for the memories, sorry. I don't really like the way it looks. It's just kind of a stick. The advantage of Kamen Rider swords versus staff like that is that they can make them sort of proportional to the size they were on the show, whereas with that, you can't really shrink down a stick that much because it's going to be too thin, so you have to shorten the ends rather than, you know, like making a blade thinner and shorter and shrinking a handle, things like that. Which sort of makes it look stumpy and I think sort of takes away from the enjoyment value. There is a weapon toy I will recommend from this line, but I'm going to save that for a later video because I have it and I want to review it and show off all the things it can do. So I think I've rambled on for quite a long time about this. I am Hybo Man with the Super Best Edition Double Driver from Kamen Rider Double. This is on sale, or at least was on sale at the time I bought it, from Hobby Link Japan. I will put a link in the description below. That's another reason actually to pick up this belt. That it sells for less if it's on sale than the original belt, probably because of age and availability. This one was released as an update, so it was more recent, meaning there's more of them available, so the price can be lower. Whereas the original was released back in, I think 2012 is the year this came out, this series. Maybe 2010, sorry if I'm wrong about that. I'm just, you know, I'm still new to Kamen Rider. I've only watched Double and Wizard all the way through, so I don't know all my stuff yet. But regardless, this is the more complete version of the belt. If you're not into the other two weapon toys and you are into a certain other weapon toy that belongs to a certain Kamen Rider who is the only Kamen Rider to turn into a motorcycle, which you will see in the next video, then I highly recommend this belt. It's very accurate to the one in the show. You get all of the memories, so even if you're just looking for sort of the complete double experience and you don't mind skipping out on a couple weapons, you get all of Philip and Shotaro's memories. You can, as the box said, get 9 different transformation sequences as they mix and match music. And, you know, have a piece of memorabilia to go with what is honestly a very, very cool show. There's more Kamen Rider Double stuff to come. I have more Gaia memories and, like I said, a weapon toy coming up. I'm going to shut up now. This is Hybo Man signing off. See you later as we tumble further and further down the tokusatsu rabbit hole.